Welcome, everybody, to Court Cousins, episode 54. My name is Kyle. I'm joined, as always, by my witty, my rosy cousin, Jason the Peach. We have got a pretty damn good show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to check in with each other in the psychological check-in. We're going to scour the interwebs in the social media roundup. We're going to do a little starter backup and bench with the depth chart. And stick around. Don't go anywhere, you scoundrels, you scallywags, you beautiful second cousins. Stick around for the large ending. But before any of that hijinks and hilarity, do want to give a shout out to all of our all-stars and second cousins on the Patreon. Magic Player History, Bolby the Dawn, Paolo and Franz's Warmth, Andy, Dylan Holden, Drum, Rafael Perez, Breadhead, Matthew Bell, Dan Young, Glory and Damien, Connor and Yachty, and Peach. I think there's a former Patreon with you. I don't know if you can see if his payment plan is updated. We got to give a shout out to my uncle, Peach's dad, Bernie.
He can't even hear you because I got the earphones on, so that's the only way it's going out. But you're getting a shout out on the show right now, even though you're just sitting over there. He is taking some time away from watching the television so we can use the internet for the show.
Thanks, Uncle. A true champion of the show. I do want to quickly mention a little bit of, show housekeeping that we're decided to take a little, I fluff your pillow. I jerk you off.
We can't fluff your pillows at the moment.
Right. We don't have the energy and the bandwidth to be fluffing pillows right now on the Patreon. So we've paused the Patreon. We really appreciate everyone's support. We're in a holding formation. We're going to decide how we want to move forward with that. But basically, I'm a nervous wreck, and I feel like if I'm not doing a tip-top job, I get racked with anxiety, shame, guilt. So just for my own mental health, so I'm focusing on the classroom. Pisha's entering his busy season with the Dallas Stars, dropping the puck. So we're just taking a step back for that. It's on pause. We'll let you know what's coming. But thank you, everyone who has participated in that. We have a nice little cash now. If we need some purchases, we can make them. And we really appreciate you helping to defray the cost of this show. It means the frickin' world. So thank you. Thank you, patrons.
Couldn't have said it better myself, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
I never knew if it's like patrons or Patreons or second. Just call it our beloved second cousins.
I think it's Patreons, but
okay.
Yeah, we've been calling it second cousins, just kind of avoid all
that. Thank you again, everyone. All right, so let's get into some show, Peach. Before we get into the nitty gritty, I don't get I don't get to be with you as much as I used to, Peach. So I really need to know, how are you doing, sir, for the psychological check-in?
Well, I've got this picture here of Greg. It looks like just Greg Anthony and Scottie Pippen at an old game, correct? But don't be fooled. Look at that little guy in there. That's a young Cole Anthony in there. And I selected this picture because this is Greg taking Cole to a game when he was young, and my dad is in town, and now we're going to games and stuff while we're here, so that it just continues like the whole time, right? Like it starts out young. I was asking him last night, I was like, what sport do you think we've seen the most of? And honestly, we've kind of aren't sure, and that's an awesome problem to have. For we're not rich, and we don't live in a city with teams. I didn't grow up near anything, so the fact that we're not really sure whether it's baseball or basketball or we know it's not football, because I think we've only been to 2 football games, but together, but no 3. But still, it's a cool problem to have, and my love of sports comes from Pop, so that's kind of the vibe I'm getting as he pulled in to town last night. So that's where I'm at. That's how I'm feeling for the Colts. I'm feeling good because he's in town. We're gonna go do some touristy shit that I haven't been doing.
Yeah,
see some stuff. Went to Six Flags last night.
Hell yeah.
Good times, man. How are you doing for the psychological check-in?
I will tell you in a minute, but I do want to touch on the familial bond here, because we are not in Orlando, as many of you loyal second cousins out there know. I'm currently in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Peach was here for a minute with us. He hails from Vermont. He's now in Dallas. you might be wondering why the hell do these two guys love the Orlando Magic like they do? And it's because of family. It's because of your dad, who brought me to games along with Uncle Donnie, I think, when I was visiting down in Florida. We have, grandparents who retired down there. So since we were that size of the Cole Anthony in that photo, it's been a family affair. And so this show is continuing that tradition. This show is a family affair. It's Court Cousins for a reason. We get to connect. We're going back to the roots of the show, for me at least, and just getting to spend time with you now that we're distant. Sure. And so, getting to spend time with you through sport, that's just how so many families, and especially men, I think we come together. So it's a beautiful thing, this game of basketball.
For sure, man. You meet a guy you've never talked to before, and all of a sudden you just be like, hey, Rangers are headed to the ALCS. Boom. Yeah. 25 minutes later, then you part ways. Somebody be like, who was that guy who talked to you? I don't know.
Good guy though. Good guy though,
yeah. Might be the reason the Amber Alert goes off on my phone, but he was cool when we talked. You don't know.
But in that moment, you're bonded through the love of sport. Okay, moving right along, I'll go into my psychological check-in. You can see here, Cole is stepping out of a nice-looking luxury vehicle. That, in fact, is not me, but you can see that his foot is bandaged there, Peach. I don't know if you caught that little detail there. And that is me right now. I'm hobbling along. For the first time in my life, I had that, minor surgery to take out a ingrown toenail, and it is brutal. So I'm just kind of like hobbling along right now. It's been tough corralling the kids, hobbling to and from work, but I'm on the mend. I'm feeling a little bit better. The toenail is out. It will not hurt me in the future. And so I'm ready to now move into the season like our team, extremely healthy. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Well, I'm glad you're getting your foot issues under wraps there. That's excellent, man. At first, I thought that was a legit. Now I can see this was some Canva work from you.
Yeah. Yes. You thought that was a new
some
style?
Sort of new shoe that that was some new shoe. He was like, hey, Jonathan Isaac, check it out. I got this shoe. But now it makes a lot more sense. But I'm glad you got your foot problem.
Thank you. Yeah, they're brutal, man.
That's great news.
Yeah, it feels much better to have it out. Now I won't have to deal with that ever again. But yeah, I just kind of, I alluded to it. So let's go right into the social media roundup. This is the segment where we scour the interwebs looking for your interesting, intriguing, or just downright funny posts about our beloved Orlando Magic. And I guess I will go in order. We'll save the health stuff for just a moment. But just a small bit of news. Peach, we haven't touched on this, but the Magic did pick up the Banchero, Wagner, and Suggs team options. That is posted by Orlando Magic HQ through Jason Beatty, the Orlando Sentinel reporter, who people love to continuously throw shade at, but he's doing a good enough job for me. So, I mean, this is obvious, right? We knew that this was going to happen.
Yeah. In other news, water still wet. This was really not a shocker at all. I read this and was almost angry. Like, don't tell me this is news.
Yeah, I only want news if, the extensions. Those are going to be news, but this is what you would expect. It ran flush. Not to say that it doesn't happen that teams don't pick up options. It does happen, but not with these guys. I mean, these are pillars, especially Franz and Paolo, and Jalen, after last night, looked like it, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in the depth chart stuff coming up later. Peace, you wanted to include this one here. Bad Boys, parental advisory, Well God put together, and I know you love throwing together an album cover. It's time for the Bad Boys reboot. What do you think of this one, Peace?
It's right there, man. I mean, that's what you want in an album cover. Just two bad boys ready to remix any song that comes down the pipe, right? Like Blackstreet, whatever it is, they're gonna find it and they're gonna hit it hard. And I wouldn't want to mess with those guys.
No,
lyrically or in a dark alley or on a basketball court. So hopefully everybody starts to feel the same way. Those coats are slick. Yeah, I don't know which one I like more, to be honest.
For those of you listening right now, we've got Paolo and Cole in some really slick custom leather jacket joints. It's the one that Cole is wearing looks pretty similar to the one Ryan Anderson was wearing, but it doesn't have the patches. It's nice, man.
Is it
and
leather?
then I don't know. It looks nice. It looks really nice. And then Paolo's more in like it looks a little bit more like a racer jacket, giving me kind of NASCAR vibes a little bit with the city outline on it and the pinstripes from the jerseys. I think I don't know. It's the Cole is cleaner and easier just to rock anywhere, but that Paolo one is more unique. These things cost an arm and a leg, though. People were talking about the one that Ryan Anderson had on that in the interviews that he was doing with the reveal of the new jersey. I think that was close to $500 for one freaking jacket. $500, Fish.
I mean, yeah, the one Paolo was wearing is way more slick, and I'd probably buy it, but I wouldn't be able to pull it off. You're right about the other one. The one Cole's wearing, that's my speed. I can hang there. So I think I'd know my role, and if I had the choice, I'd go with the Cole one. But in my heart, I love the look of the other one. But someone else can buy it and stand near me and wear it, and then it's better. Sort of like when I find a good hat sometime, I'm like, oh, it's on my head. I don't get to see it. I want to buy other people's hats.
All right. Well, Court Cousins night, March 21st. You can buy me a hat. I'll wear it next to you all night. Just for you, buddy.
Cover up the lettuce. That's
no. I've got a shit ton of hats. I don't even wear them anymore because this flow is just so majestic nowadays. Just can't. Gotta let it go. What's the most expensive? What's the most expensive piece of clothing you've ever bought? Do you have anything in mind?
Oh man, that's a good question. It's probably my suit.
Okay. Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
I went to Brooks Brothers and just got a suit.
Yeah. It's tough for a big guy. Tough for a tall guy like yourself to find a nice suit. So you got
a lot of fabric there, man.
Okay.
I had to put a little extra around the groin. I'm like, could you give me a little room in there?
I'm growing into it. Mommy said I'm growing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going to dance in a ballroom, and I'd like some.
Okay. I alluded to it earlier on that I am on the mend, and in fact, our team has been on the mend, it feels like, Peach, forever. But finally, coming into a training camp, everyone is healthy. And another one here from Orlando Magic HQ doing a great job of breaking news with these awesome visuals and graphics. We see Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz. Everyone on the Orlando Magic is healthy entering training camp. I mean, it's a great feeling to see Jamal Mosley have at his disposal the entire retinue of talent that we have on this squad that we've been kind of chomping at the bit for years now. And that's not an exaggeration of, oh man, when X guy comes back, when Markelle Fultz comes back, it's going to be great. Oh, if we could just get J.I. into the lineup, it would be really good. Oh man, Cole and Jalen, they're nicked up, but when they come back, and now it's no more ifs, no more what ifs, no more speculation, no more hypotheticals, Peach. Everyone is ready to go. And I think we're about to take the league by storm and hit fast and hit early because we have continuity. Whereas a lot of teams, that's one of the big things about the offseason. There's a lot of talk about, hey, let's go get this guy. And that's what fans do. That's what we do, right? We got to spend the offseason some way. But Jeff Weltman decided, no. Anthony Parker, no. We're just going to get one little piece. We'll get Joe Ingles here, nothing, but we're keeping everything together. And I think that really pays off in the beginning of the season. At least it should. So I'm expecting us to hit the ground running, Peach. How are you feeling? First healthy offseason going into training camp since I can remember.
Yeah, I first want to touch upon the point that you just made, which I thought was a great one.
Well, thank you.
I can't remember. It's one of those deals where can you just reiterate it again? Because for whatever, where is it?
Are you talking about the off season when I said, holding pat and the importance of continuity?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. There's way too much of this in all sports, really, where it's like they bring in a couple of players and then they don't win. And then they go, well, that didn't work. Let's get some other players in here. And it's like, yo, it's a team sport. So let's get a little camaraderie going. And in basketball, is one of the, baseball, you may not need that camaraderie between all the players, but you definitely need it in basketball because you're all passing the ball with each other. It's just, you need it. And we have it. And that's something that a lot of teams don't have. And people get panicky, right? Like, maybe that'll be us 4 or 5 years down the road if we don't see something going on. But teams tend to get panicky after 1 or 2 seasons, and you never get to see guys grow together, right? Like some dudes just roll into town, they're there a year, they move on, and you're sort of like, well, let's see if they can put it together. Sometimes it takes you a year or a full off season together to like really grow and get there. And we have got to have probably the most continuous roster of any NBA team, I would imagine. Like there's has not been a lot of radical changes from last year. So that I think that is an unsung thing that people won't talk about. It's not sexy, but it's going to pay off, I think. As far as the health goes, I think I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second, just in saying, I think while everyone on the Orlando Magic team is healthy entering training camp, I think the fans are not quite healthy yet.
What's wrong with us?
We're still a little damaged by that time frame, right?
Yeah.
We need to see these guys be out there for like 25 consecutive games before we can rest easy, correct?
Yes.
You still cringe when you see J.I. make a move through the lane.
I did.
Like, we still all want, every time Fultz goes up for a dunk, I'm like, oh, come down fine. You know, we all need to be healthy as well mentally, and we're not there yet, right? It's part of the reason I'm rejecting J.I. right now. Not ready for him to come back yet. I'm still stuck on him leaving me for cigarettes last year. I'm just not ready yet. So we have to build all that back, and it's going to happen as soon as games start being played. So we're all going to get there too, but I'm glad the players are there first so that we can finally start to kind of put some of that stuff behind us. Injuries are going to always be a part of every sport or every game, but they rocked our world for a little while and really kind of put a pause on everything. But I think it helped us build that continuity you're talking about. So I think it's going to end up being a good thing.
If you have not seen the extended metaphor that Peach uses to weave a tale of his long lost father coming and returning as a way of speaking about his heartbreak and excitement of Jonathan Isaac's return and then loss. I think you need to go back, check out the shorts. I clipped it up. It's freaking hilarious. It's gold, Peach. Way to go on that one.
I feel like I stand by it. I'll always stand by it.
No, it was one of the best pieces of content we put out, I think. I will stand by that. Now, okay, I'm curious. We may have already dipped the toe into this conversation, but I'm curious about how you're feeling on this one, Peach. I have this slide labeled as Broncos dumpster fire. Would you like to introduce this post from the Score?
Yeah, so what we've got here is a picture of Sean Payton standing next to Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So the dumpster fire is appropriate here already. And as you can see, it says what the Broncos spent to get Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. This would be 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, 1 fifth-round pick, 5 years, $245 million for Russell Wilson.
Oof.
Gross overpay by any site. And 5 years, $85 million for Sean Payton.
For a coach.
Come on.
And you're a Broncos fan.
I mean, I am just putting this up as a nice reminder before the season to know that the Orlando Magic are not run this way, right?
Right.
They're building a team from the top down, good staff, good people. We're not doing this stuff anymore. This franchise used to do kind of dumb stuff like this.
At times.
We don't now. And so This is a great thing. Enjoy it. You don't want to be one of these dumpster fires, and we aren't, right? We don't even have a dumpster there. We got a small garbage can where you step on it and you can put the garbage inside it and then it covers it. Very nice, very slick.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like Jamal Mosley said in the inside the training camp, he used this really nice metaphor of the details, of honing in on the details. He left a jersey out in the middle of the locker room, and all the guys came back in, and he came in, he said, "Whose is this?" And everyone was like, "I don't know." And he said, "No, I know it's mine," but nobody picked it up. Why did nobody, if we're saying that we're going to hold each other accountable and we're all about the details and it starts with making sure our locker room looks right and it's a place conducive to work, why did nobody pick it up? Where's the leadership? And he started by calling them out. So we know the trash can is neat, all right? The jersey bin, everything is in there. It's in its place. And as you said, from the top down, we've got to give some props to Weltman, John Hammond, now Anthony Parker, for being patient. because we have had some dumpster fires. I think myself included, you mentioned it, I'm still traumatized from Rob Hennigan trading for Serge Ibaka and trading a would-be Domantas Sabonis and a Victor Oladipo, who then later became an all-star, and Domantas Sabonis has become an all-star. I mean, those guys have their flaws, and Victor hasn't had health, but that Magic team would have been way better by keeping Victor Oladipo and having Domantas Sabonis. And instead, we endured some really tough years that, as you said, we're still coming out of. I'm still not ready to pinch myself and wake up. But, I'm glad that we stayed the course this summer. We saw, some crazy packages a couple years ago for Rudy Gobert. I think that has really hampered the Wolves, even though they're still a very good team. The Damian Lillard package maybe wasn't as crazy as people thought, but that's a result of the new CBA. We're not going to see these huge amounts of draft picks for these high-end contracts because that encumbers the team. No one wants to trade for a $60 million contract because you'll get really hurt in the second apron of the salary cap. So I love that we stayed pat. The guys have continuity. They really seem to love each other, and we're going into this season healthy with good camaraderie, and I'm just knocking on every piece of wood that I can, praying to any deity that will listen, and let's get a good start to the season.
Agreed.
We're going to talk about the start of the preseason a little bit later, but first, Peace, you wanted to bring in our cross-state rival for a bit and just maybe throw a little bit of shade, perhaps. I don't know. It's a little warm.
It doesn't have to be shade. It depends on what you're into. Okay. I don't know how you guys get down out there necessarily. It's up to you. It's two posts. It's this one from The Score saying describe these jerseys using one emoji.
Okay.
It's the Heat. It says a Heat culture jersey, which I had to look up because I thought this was a fake. I was like, why would this be a thing? This is ridiculous, I think. And then, of course, the picture of Jimmy Butler at the media day where he has his hair down.
Yeah.
Giving everyone the Fall Out Boy vibes,
yes.
Looking very emo.
Yes.
And my question to you is, which one of these do you dislike more? Is there?
Yeah, I mean, that's easy. That's easy. The jerseys, Heat culture. I mean, they have their classic Heat logo and then culture. And I guess that's become kind of a mantra over a little while, but really, that's just. I don't think it's necessarily. You don't have a monopoly on culture, all right, Miami Heat. It's not you think you have a thing, but we Orlando Magic, we have a culture too. I think the jerseys are bland, so I don't want to buy a jersey that says Heat culture on it. I don't want to buy a Heat jersey, period. But I don't think I'd buy a Magic culture jersey either. Jimmy Butler is just
also
amazing.
You know what's short for culture? Cult. So, maybe don't put that on the front of your jersey. It's not a good look. And it's a weird one to make because it's not like they're, the 1980s Celtics or something like that, winning a championship every other year. You had a couple of runs, but settle down, Heat culture. Plus, the Jimmy Butler emo I think it's funny. I think it's fun that he showed up with a different look just to mess with people. And he made people talk about the Heat when people shouldn't be talking about the Heat because all they did was get worse in the offseason.
Yeah.
And they picked up no one.
No, yeah,
He's like, hey, notice me. Sorry, I'll be over here in the corner listening to Fall Out Boy.
He's an amazing I love Jimmy Butler. I'm sorry. I know that as Magic fans we have to hate the Heat, and I do. I want them to lose for sure, especially anytime we play them. But I love Jimmy Butler, man. He is just a G. He has done nothing but prove people wrong in this league, and he loves to just come and have fun with the media days, and he doesn't take himself too seriously. And I think if there's anyone that could represent, the ethos of this show, we try not to take ourselves too seriously. It's a guy like Jimmy Butler, and I respect that. I don't know if he really likes Fall Out Boy and emo stuff, but I think it's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said before, Jimmy Butler was on Marquette when I worked in Milwaukee, I've liked him since then. I just wish he'd end up on another team. I want to root for him, but he's always on some team like the Sixers or the Heat that's interfering with our Eastern Conference teams, and I'm like, go away. But he's nice.
All right.
This last one I have in here, I hope you have it in here.
I do. Is the Las Vegas Knights one?
It is.
All right. Explain this to me. I'm confused. I didn't know exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, you won't be, but this is why it's good when we don't do show prep, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then it just comes at you. So there's a post here from Bleacher Report Open Ice, which is kind of their hockey version. I know you probably all
so it has 4 followers.
But
okay.
Come on now.
All right.
4 followers per province, so there's still plenty. But there's a post here of the Knights when they won the Stanley Cup last year, and a quote that says, "If anything should happen to the cup, you have to bring it to my grave." So this is fan here, and it's way too small for me to read this man's name. If you can see it, go ahead and say that name there. But,
Michael Bronowitz.
Okay, now listen here. The Golden Knights are a new team.
Yes.
Right? They've only been, that was their 6th season, and they won a championship. So I can't imagine he was like a fan for years, like a lot of us have toiled and said. But I'm using this as an example here because they actually brought if you could slide that one over, you'd see they brought the Stanley Cup to this man's grave and got some pictures. And I just love that they did that. And I just want you to know.
Wow.
When if something happened to you before the Orlando Magic win that championship, I'm getting it brought to your grave, buddy.
See, this is
or I'll sprinkle you over the trophy, something, because I know that moment is important to fans, and I know you've waited way longer than this cat, and he got the world's most famous trophy at his gravesite, so we can get the NBA championship to wherever you are. So we'll get it there.
Wow. Well, rest in peace, Michael. I'm sure he was in the universe appreciative of that gesture. And that is something that just shows the immense love that fans have for teams. And that's why it's so touching to me when teams go that extra mile to show the love for the fans. Because, on the flip side of that, there's nothing that pisses me off more when a player who will get accusatory of fans or start coming at fans for any XYZ emotion that they're feeling. And it's like, man, first of all, you know what you signed up for. And 2, people live and breathe with this stuff. This is sometimes people, and sometimes for me, depending on the day, it's a respite from whatever's going on. So the fact that they would do this really shows the character of that organization. Man, 6 years and they got a chip already? Damn, that's nice.
I know. And I got to give them their flowers, even though they knocked out my Stars last year and they're a rival.
Yeah.
If you guys get a chance to, go ahead and watch their banner unveiling that they did last night before their first game. What an event it was. I won't say anything to spoil it. It's honestly worth a watch. It's the best banner raising I've ever seen.
Oh,
usually it's just a modest little thing, but no, they Vegas the hell out of it.
Hell yeah.
And it was borderline tacky, but it was like, nope. It's awesome.
It stayed right under.
Check it out. It'll make you want your team to win a title so you can try to one-up it for sure. It's very good.
Okay, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I know we're back to Magic Talk now, okay? And we've got the one, the only Welt God coming in here for he's searching last night trying to find that preseason game, searching stream Magic games for free, and then someone's father is messaging them, "Why is the FBI here?" And, Welt God is just bemoaning the fact that we have one of the most exciting teams we've had since Dwight took us to the finals. And I guess if you were in the Florida area, Bally Sports Florida was not broadcasting this game. So I'm sure thousands and thousands of people were vigorously searching for where the hell can I stream this game? Where can I pirate it? Everyone's ready to be a pirate, a swashbuckler when they're trying to watch the Orlando Magic. Peach, I know you didn't watch the game, but it is available on NBA League Pass, which is shit, as we know. You can't watch the whole thing.
And I see Mofangazo replied in this tweet about this, laughing, and he actually was like amazed that I wasn't going to watch the preseason game, and I was like, well, I don't always make it a habit of watching preseason games, but if I've got other things to go do, tickets to events or whatever, I'm going to do that. Those Six Flags tickets were free for one night only. What are you going to do?
I can't, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. All right. If there's anyone else out there that wants to do this podcast that's related to me that I don't know, maybe a distant cousin that we can just get him the hell out of here, we'll do it. You know what I'm saying? I just need somebody.
Yeah, I'll be ready to go when the season starts. But once
Yeah.
the games start counting, then I'll actually
Yeah.
first. It seems like a lot of the guys played in this.
Yes.
And in the later versions of the preseason games, a lot of the starters don't. So like
Right.
if you're gonna watch one, it should be like the first one or two, because by game 3 and 4, you got guys that aren't gonna make the roster playing. So it'll be some Mac McClung minutes.
Yeah, we'll talk. Well, I will talk a little bit about the preseason game as we get to our depth chart stuff a little later on. But one more or two more here in the social media roundup. Peesh, this one is again from Welt God. He was reposting the GM survey that was recently done, and that 25 NBA executives were polled, and they said their top candidates for the 23-24 season, and Franz Wagner, Orlando Magic, with 34.4% at number one. Number 2 is Cade Cunningham with 32.8%, so not far behind. Then it's a 10% drop-off to Jalen Green at 22.4%, Mikal Bridges, Evan Mobley, Shaedon Sharpe, and they're at number 7, Jabari Smith Jr., 9.6%. And I guess, Jabari Smith Jr., because you can't play much crappier than your rookie season, although he did start to come along towards the end. When I saw him at Summer League, man, he was balling, and it's just Summer League, but he's going to be a good player, so I understand why he's on that list. Franz Wagner, he has improved, Peesh, in every statistical category except rebounds, free throw percentage, and turnovers. Now, the rationale for that is we drafted Paolo Banchero, who is a really good rebounder, and it's not like Franz's went down very much. His free throw percentage went down like 2%, and he's taking more of them. And his turnovers, I think, were just a result at the beginning of the year when we were running Point Franz, which really wasn't supposed to be happening, and he was fumbling the ball a few times. But I think that, Franz can be a 50, 40, 90 type of guy at some point soon. Not maybe this year, as his volume will probably continue to increase, but I don't know. It's fringe all-star year potentially for Franz Wagner after leading his national team to a world championship. Cade Cunningham, another guy on this list. Again, he was injured. He's coming back. Mikal Bridges being on here, I thought he already broke out. I thought when he got traded from the Suns, it was clear that he had broken out. What do you think about Franz, and is there anyone else on the list that you agree with that you're looking on, or are there any snubs from this list?
Well, first of all, let's touch upon the point that obviously when you've got a 50, 40, 90 line, which of course, for those who don't know, is home runs, stolen bases, and RBIs, of course. I honestly don't know what that means, but the numbers sound nice. So cool.
50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the line. It's an efficiency metric.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows. Now you know, and that's half the battle. What's nice about this list for me, I didn't really dissect who else was on it, because I saw who I wanted to see at number 1.
Yes.
And I think this is one of those moments. We've talked about it a lot on the show where people are sleeping on us. We're underrated. Normally we would put up a post like this because Franz isn't on it, or he'd be ranked 8th, and we'd be like, not going to say a lot much more about this post or anybody below him, because there he is at number 1. But this is where we're starting to turn the tide, where now people notice, right?
Yes.
We're on that radar a lot more than we were before, and it's getting a little more legit when you see stats like this, because those are all players that are very capable of breaking out, and they're saying of all the players that could become an all-star potential, they looked at what this man just did on the world stage and said, look at this man. Look at that coat he's wearing. Look at that gaze. Are you going to mess with this guy? You better not. And look, I live in Texas, so I know not to mess with things. I don't want to mess with that guy. He's coming.
He truly is. I will throw a little shade. I will look at the list. I don't see no Scotty Barnes. Huh. That's weird.
If you're going to throw shade, it better be Dun Sharp.
Shaedon Sharpe. Yeah, I mean that's a good one, especially now that Damian Lillard is gone. That makes a lot of sense. He was kind of in the background last year. Could definitely see a jump. But I mean, Franz Wagner. I'm thinking Jalen Suggs is a guy that could have a breakout year. I don't know how they're defining breakout. That's the thing. But Franz Wagner, we're ready for it. We're ready for it.
To me, a breakout is like where a guy jumps onto the casuals page, right? Like where everybody who follows basketball knows, oh, that team has this guy, right? And that's why I think Cade Cunningham's good on this list, obviously, because I think he's kind of becoming the face of the Pistons. So,
you think we can have an all-star this year? You think Franz Wagner could be an all-star? You think Paolo Banchero could be an all-star? And talking about breakouts,
easily,
yes,
easily,
yes. All right, now we're going into a depth chart version of starter, backup, and bench. We're going to be providing each other some options, and then we're going to have to say which we like the best, the starter, the backup, in the middle, and the bench, who we're leaving out. But in this case, it's going to be pretty damn literal. Like, starter, who do you think is most deserving of minutes, and then on backup and bench. So I've divided these up, Peach, into bigs, like centers, our wings/forwards, and then I have the 2 guard positions, shooting guard and point guard, all categorized there. So do you have a place that you'd like to start, or can we start with the bigs? Is that all right with you?
Yes, that's all right. I was bumped by the Anthony Black, which is not part of this, I guess.
No, well, I'm going to bring that up in just a moment when we talk about point guards. So I will mention that. That'll come back. All right, so
let's start with big man shit.
Yeah, let's go, baby. # big man shit. Let's go right to it. So I have on this list starter, backup, and bench piece. How you ranking these guys in terms of playing time? Wendell Carter Jr., Goga Bitadze, Moritz Wagner, and Jonathan Isaac, who I also included in there. And yes, people, don't jump down my throats. He could be in the forwards. I'm putting him in the bigs.
Yeah, I was noticing the way you broke some of these up, but hey, we're here for hypotheticals, right?
Right.
You guys all love those, so here we are. Now, am I looking, this is my starter, backup, bench, or this is who I think they're going to go with?
No, I want yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then it's Wendell as starter. Okay. It's Moritz as the backup. I'm going with Goga on the bench.
And then J.I. is left out.
Like he should be.
Okay.
But I know he's gonna get minutes, which could be good because then maybe he shows some sort of value and we can move him. Ultimately, I just don't want him on the team. It was really weird for me to see all the media day stuff and to see him actually participating and being a part of the team. And it's like, you've been here the whole time, bro. Where were you? You could have done this fun shit. You could have done the speaking challenge stuff and appeared on the screen and felt like to the fans like you're more part of the team. The guys obviously see him all the time. He's around, he's sitting on the bench, he's at practice probably. But as fans, we just kind of forgot about this guy. He just disappears. He goes away. Engage, be a part of things so that we can kind of be like, yeah, that guy, come on. Now he's playing instead of oh, that guy, he's playing. So not on my team.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I don't come at it from that perspective. My perspective with J.I. and why I maybe have him at the end of my list is because, like you said earlier in the show, I just can't believe it yet. I can't bring myself to believe it because, like you said in your extended metaphor, he's just come home. He's the estranged father. He's just come home. He's showing me some really nice. He's getting me presents, all those things that mom won't get me. He's bringing me around, showing me cool places. We're doing bro stuff. We're doing guy stuff together. It's feeling good, but I just know.
It sounds pretty good. It's not good. It sounds awesome.
It is awesome. It is awesome,
okay.
Except that I know that, when he meets another lady, he's going to be out of town again. He's going to be on the next train out of here to chase something else.
He's a rambling man. He's got to ramble on.
Exactly. And in J.I.'s case, it's his knees breaking. But in the extended, you get it. It's a metaphor, everyone. My starter, backup, and bench is Wendell Carter Jr. Obviously is our center. He was absolutely balling in the preseason opener, Peach. He had 18, 5, and an assist. He went 4 or 5 from beyond the arc, hitting from the corner a few times, which is different for him because we know Wendell Carter Jr. loves that top of the key, straight on three as he's trailing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was moving around the court, Peach. He was doing all types of shooting. Yes. He's not going to shoot.
Yo, my bad. I thought we played the Pelicans. Did we play the Bulls?
We all know that WCJ loves to go off against the Bulls. Always bet the over whenever we play the Bulls, by the way, people, for WCJ. And in some of these videos from training camp, I'm watching. I'm like, ooh, Paolo with the crossover into the lane and the dunk. That was silky. I'm like, oh, shit. No, that's Wendell Carter Jr. Like, I think that he's kind of stepping in and saying, like, hey, I'm one of those 6'10" athletic dudes, too. I can handle a little bit. I can do a little bit of everything, just like my brothers over here to the left and the right of me. So I'm really, really excited for this. This could be another guy in that GM poll for a breakout year. WCJ firmly in the starter role. I'm going Goga as my backup. All right. We need to board. I saw definitely some lapses last night, Peach, in that preseason game. We were struggling at times to get defensive rebounds. And just looking at per 36 numbers between Goga and Moritz, you chose Moritz as your backup. I have Goga. Goga gave us per 36, so we're comparing apples to apples, 14 points, 12.5 boards. Moritz gave us 19.5 points, 8.5 boards. And for me, from the center position, I mean, what do you want? Do you want, from your center position, you want 5.5 more points, or do you want 4 more boards? And I want the boards from my center, not the scoring. J.I. is the wild card. He's not on he's on the bench right now. He's deep bench right now just because my heart isn't ready.
I'm surprised by that.
My heart isn't ready.
I was surprised by that. I thought you'd see through that and see the overall and realize that he's a better player. He deserves to be probably second on this list if you're rating it purely on what their talent level should be. But we're mostly kind of moving him back just because we don't want to get hurt, which is again part of the health we talked about at the beginning of the show, where the mental health needs to come around so that we can accept him trying to be back with the family and not leaving for cigarettes. He's at the Nicorette patch now. He doesn't need to go out. That's what I'm trying to tell myself.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to go out anymore.
Right? But we need to see it with our eyes. I mean, I don't have his stat line up in front of me, but it was something crazy, man. I mean, the production was bonkers. I think he only got 1 run. No, he got 2 runs, but blocks. He was all over. He had multiple blocks. He was shooting the ball. He got to the line. Again, when he got to the line, he came down and kind of hit the floor, aggressively, and I thought, oh shit, his fucking knee is gone again. But he was just pumped up. But I thought it was, again, because I've been hit before.
It's gonna be a while. It may be a whole season, season before it
I
goes away a little bit. So I like that you decided to compare apples to apples with Goga and Moritz, but might I remind you that the Granny Smith apple is nowhere near the Macintosh or the Honey Crisp. They're all quite different. So that phrase apples to apples, come on.
I know that better than many. So some of you might jump on me and say, well, J.I.'s not going to be a center. He's going to be more of a forward. All right, so here's the wings/forwards group here. We've got Paolo, Franz, Chuma, Ingles, and I put Caleb Houston in here because he will play the 3 for us. So, Peesh, you want to hit this one first, or you want me to go first on this one?
I'll go first. I don't think this is going to be shocking at all. It's got to be Paolo, Franz, and Ingles for me. I just feel like Ingles is going to get the minutes. I feel like that's the reason we picked him up, is to kind of be that veteran dude. I feel like the Chuma experiment just felt like it was over to me.
Yeah.
And I was kind of amazed he's still on the roster, but I feel like kind of almost the same about Caleb in a way. I think he's on the team as an affordable dude at this point, but not sure I see long-term stuff for either one of them. So I think they're both not making the rotation, I think is my thought.
Oh, if you had to put one of them, who would you put above the other, Caleb or Chuma? If you had to rank them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd go with Chuma, honestly. Chuma is at least a very solid defender.
Okay.
And if I've got a guy that is looking to get minutes, it's always through that guy's defense.
Okay.
He's not known for scoring, and he's never going to be. Caleb's probably more known for his scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, if I've got a guy that's scrapping and thinks he's going to get minutes, it's probably going to be because of the defensive stuff. So I'd go Chuma.
And you would put Paolo as your starter and Franz as your backup.
I mean, in this scenario,
yeah,
we're not starting two forwards, which is not a thing.
No, we're just ranking them. We're just ranking them.
Yeah, in this scenario, I guess I personally like Franz more, but
so then why didn't you put him first?
Because if I can only start one, and I want the best player out there right now, I want Paolo. That could change by season's end, but this is asking somebody to tell you who their favorite kid is,
right?
And they have twins.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like that. So I mean, what are we talking about? It's 1A here. So
twins, Basil, twins.
If you're twisting my arm, that's one.
No, I agree, man. It is like choosing between kids. It's tough because Paolo is like he's a force of nature, but so is Franz. You know, maybe they're lightning or thunder and lightning. You know, they're just right there with each other. I would say if I'm going to continue with nature metaphors, I'll go with, Franz is like water, right? He moves, he weaves, he's a little bit more ballet with it, and Paolo is more like a rock slide, like brute force coming at you. And it's tough if I had to choose between two of those guys, I'm going to put Franz as my starter. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put Franz as a starter just for the efficiency, and I think that he plays within the flow of the game a little bit more easily than Paolo. And Paolo's still got to get that three-point shot coming around a little bit more. But, man, Paolo gets to the line. It is so good that we have both these guys on our team. Is it coming to vibe?
That was legit magic because it wasn't me putting him in.
No, I saw your hands there. So,
it just floated over.
Stuff is there. Okay. And then so after that, it's going to be Ingles on the bench. I'm interested to see what he brings. He did not play at all in the first preseason game. I'll be interested to see if he plays in the next. We've seen some clips of him in training camp doing some things off the dribble, making some nice passes. I think he's going to get more minutes than I expect. And yeah, the Chuma experiment is over. I think I'd actually put Caleb over Chuma just because Chuma's had time to see what he could do, and he kind of fumbled the bag. And Caleb, while as not the elite defender that Chuma has shown to be at times, he's a good defender. He has length, and we need that shooting. You see every time Caleb goes down to the G League, he freaking lights it up. He's got like 30 points, so he can fill it up. I think it's just that confidence coming around, and we'll see. I'll be interested to see what happens with Caleb this year now with Jet Howard and Anthony Black. And so without further ado, let's get into shooting guards, because that's where we see Jet Howard along with Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, and Kevon Harris I put in here. What say you, Peach?
Interesting. Well, first of all, I'm noticing that when it came to forwards, you're like, we're piling them all in the same car. And then when it came to guards, you're like, I better sort these out.
Yeah.
So I could see, I see why you did it, because it's sexier to do it this way. And that's the way you roll. So.
Oh, yeah. Wow, baby.
Yeah, so if we're going to start on shooting guard there, it felt weird for me to see this as our shooting guard options, but based on what I'm seeing, I got to go Suggs and then Harris, I think, Gary, and then Kevon for me. Mm-hmm. I know, not Jawan Howard. What's his name? Something Howard.
Jet Howard, yeah.
Jet Howard, yeah. I know he's going to play, and hopefully he is good and better than we thought or can expect. He seems to have no conscience for throwing up shots, so that's cool. We'll probably need that down the road, and I could see him definitely taking over some of these minutes. But if I'm going out to play a game, I just love the defense that Gary Harris provides. He's also capable of doing things offensively. I love the grit of Kevon. I've always loved it off the bench. He's that guy that's playing like, if I don't play well tonight, I'm going to be down in the G League tomorrow. Like
Right.
he's got that. And it's not like it's not true. There's some truth behind that, but he plays so hard and he goes so hard, and I love that. Whereas, I haven't seen, maybe Jet will be able to do that same thing, but is a guy whose dad was in the NBA going to be as hungry as a guy who literally needs to eat and needs this paycheck to eat? Like, I don't know. So for me, that's the way I would go, but I'm kind of going on based on what I've seen so far, and I haven't seen a huge sample size of Jet Howard.
We're going to be boring. We're going to go the same way on this, Pish. I'm exactly the same as you. Jalen Suggs,
Wow.
Gary Harris, Kevon Harris, Jet Howard. A lot. I think I've been preaching quite loudly about Jalen Suggs should be starting, and I think that he needs to get that time. Fawzon had a post about Jalen Suggs once again playing alongside the starters. This was during training camp. And we all saw, well, Peach didn't, but all the true Magic fans saw, and I'm just kidding, I'm just fucking with you, Peach. Anyone who was watching the first preseason game saw that Jalen Suggs was a starter. So what we saw maybe in training camp, him playing with the starters, is now coming to fruition in the first preseason game. I imagine that Coach Mosley will mess around with the rotations a little bit, but I think he sees something here. I like what Jalen Suggs brings. Gary Harris is your tried and true. You know what you're going to get from him. You're going to get some really good 3-point shooting from him and some solid defense. But Jalen Suggs brings another level of defense to the floor and more playmaking. Like Jalen Suggs, as much as he's had some difficulties his first couple of years with the turnovers, with being his feet moving a little too fast for his mind, that has really remedied itself. He's settling into a role. He knows what's expected of him, but he still has that extra gear as a playmaker in there. And he's now kind of channeling it in a more productive way. So Jalen Suggs is very easily becoming the starting shooting guard for me. Gary Harris would be my backup. And then on the bench, I think you summed it up beautifully. Defense plays its way onto the floor. Kevon Harris does that. Jet Howard was a little up and down. At times the shot looked pretty good, but he missed some badly. Definitely looked like a rookie out there in his first stint. I'm not convinced yet. I need to see a little bit more from – I saw him in Summer League, and you're right. He's not shy of shooting, but I don't know. Will he come around with the efficiency? Will he come around with the defense? Time will tell. Anything on that before?
I just want to defend my.
Yes.
I just want to defend myself quickly on the preseason thing. I don't watch the preseason of any sport of any of my teams unless I have to. I've watched it for this show.
Yes.
Over the course of the 2 years we've been doing it, I've seen more preseason Magic games already in these 2 years than any other preseason anywhere. Well, I was offered free tickets to preseason games for the Stars. No thanks. I'm good. I'm just not interested in it. You see a weird mix of guys. The games don't really matter. It doesn't look like everyone's trying. It's sort of like it's like practice for an eventual game. These games don't count. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't put it on the same level as a regular season game. It needs to count.
Well, I've always respected your sporting balance, Pish. You don't live and die by one franchise necessarily. You've got a plethora, and you eat the menu. You eat the buffet as you go. You don't judge. You take what you got.
Yeah, sometimes you go up and you just grab scallops, and then you come back and you're in the mood, right? But a lot of times you've got a little bit of everything on there, and that's good because if they don't have scallops one day and you had your heart set on it, you can move. You got other things going on,
right? Because the chef just brought out the brisket, so you gotta. That's the season has started for the brisket, so you got to get in there.
My God, I had some brisket mac and cheese today served to me in a baked potato. And it was free. It was one of the best meals I've ever had.
Okay. All right. Do you think we're freaking crazy? I mean, I know we're crazy. Jet Howard's going to play over Kevon Harris.
Yeah, he for sure is.
Yes.
For sure is.
But that doesn't change our hearts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's in your hearts? Let us know in the comments because I'm going to clip this up. Okay. Last category. Last category. Point guard. We've got 3. This is a true starter, backup, and bench, Pish. Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, Anthony Black. What say you?
You've picked the most challenging one for the end in theory, because there's no way the team drafts a guy at 6 overall and doesn't play him.
Yeah.
But for me, he's the bench because I love Cole as our backup and Fultz is our starting point guard. It's not that this list couldn't change. AB could definitely play his way all the way to the starter, but he's going to have to earn that. And that's okay. I like guys that are hungry and want to move up. And if they're good enough, they will. And if they don't, then they'll just be out of the league in 4 or 5 years. So I'm ready to see that take place. That's a good little in-team competition to keep things moving and keep things interesting. We don't want to have a monopoly in that position because then the other guys, we don't care who plays. But at point guard, we've got some things we want to see. So that's probably the thing I'll be most interested to see is how many minutes AB's getting, where, with who. He's got to be in the backup team, I would imagine. But how soon could he play his way into the starting roster? Does he unseat Cole as the number 1 point guard off the bench? I mean, it's possible, right? I mean, I'm not betting against Cole Anthony. But hey, it's possible.
I'm putting it just like you did Fultz, Cole, and Anthony Black, just like it is on the screen right now. I'm gonna put Markelle Fultz aside. I've just put money on him to win Most Improved Player of the Year. I think he's got that potential in him. I think he can. There's a lot of guys that are gonna score on this team, so it'll be tough for him to get to like 20 points. I don't know if I see that. But I'm definitely expecting like 15 and 8 from him on a regular basis. And I don't think that is hyperbole at all. I've done a lot. I've done a lot of pontificating, a lot of propagandizing. I don't know if that's a word for Jalen Suggs. But I need to put that aside, and I need to show some love to Cole Anthony because he went off in the preseason game last night. He came in and was the steadying force and brought the magic back when we were down a little bit in that preseason game. I've talked a lot about Jalen Suggs' last 30 games. Peesh, Cole's last 30 games last year, he shot 41.3% from 3 on 3.5 attempts. He has increased his efficiency from 2 and from 3 and from the line every single year that he's come into the league. He just keeps getting better. So who the hell am I to bet against this guy? All right. He's going to force the issue with Coach Mosley. No one is taking this spot from me.
Riddle me this. I think what is most likely to happen, since I think that's what we're supposed to be doing on the show, right? A little.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility where you see Cole as the shooting guard off the bench.
Right.
And AB becomes the point guard on that second squad, if you will. That, yes, I think seems to be the most probable long term. Maybe not in the first few weeks, but eventually. I feel like they'd rather give him minutes than Gary Harris or Kevon. And if Jet Howard hasn't shown that he deserves them, I think if Cole's shooting that well, just call him a shooting guard then, right? No. Like, let him do it.
I'm with that. I think he definitely brings some creative chops on the ball. But that brings me to this AB slide that we didn't get to earlier, Peesh, because this was a post from Lewis at Hoops Talk, and he was replying to Welp God post that said, y'all give Aaron Addison Gordon 8 years to get good, but you won't give AB one preseason game. Anthony Black will only be 21 when the 25-26 season starts. He's going to be a great player. Allow him time to grow. And Lewis replied to that. He quoted it and said, hustle and IQ were apparent. Not sure what anyone could be stressing, to be honest. And then I replied, my stress, okay? Because I agree with you. This is my stress. And I'm a fan. I'm allowed to stress and overreact. And this is what I'm doing. I saw Cole Anthony running that second unit. He was in command of that second unit. He was on ball a lot. And when he was on ball, I like that. I'm cool with that. The only problem is AB is hanging out in the corner at the three-point line. And the young man cannot shoot. All right? He doesn't want to shoot. I saw him pass up multiple open looks during Summer League, like wide open, and then dribbles into the crowded paint. He does not want anything of three-point shooting right now, which it does become a problem. Like, I'm not going to wax over it. Yes, he's extremely young. Yes, he will get better. But this team is ready to do some winning right now. And I don't know how Coach Mosley is going to massage that second unit to, as you said, have Anthony Black on the ball, because that's where he's effective, because he is not effective standing at the three-point line in the corner. His defender was sagging off him all the way to the paint almost. All right. And then you have another guy in the paint clogging things up. So something's got to give with how those guys are playing together, but it's just preseason game one. But that is my overreaction. That something needs to change.
I mean, I love that. Well, God used the full government to throw some shade at Aaron Gordon, man. That makes me feel good inside. And, you know, the point is there. Don't get lost in that. Him only being 21 by the time the 25, 26 season
yeah,
comes
that's
up.
crazy.
Oh, man. Like, think about how much growth you had in that span of time, right?
Yeah.
You know, from going to a young man to become, or from a boy to a man at that point, right? Like, they're looking at this as a talent like that can be developed. Right. So I don't think anyone really expected him to be in the starting lineup on opening day. I think that's what you think when you get a number 6 pick usually.
Yes.
This one is different, and those expectations need to be measured, that like this could take a little while for this to develop, but that's okay because we have a young team. We're not trying to compete for a championship this year realistically. So like, let's see how this plays out. If he has the amount of talent that it seems like he does, the rest of that stuff can come up. But you're right. He is definitely not going to be an off-ball guy. I think he needs the ball in his hands. And they'll have to find a way or start to change his game a little bit. But he's so new to this whole roster and game and team, it could take a few weeks before he finds where that spot is for him. So I'm not too worried about it. I think it's a good problem to have.
Definitely a good problem to have. I'm not sure if it was on purpose on Welt God's part, but that 25-26 would be the first year of Franz's extension kicking in, and then the next year would be Paolo Banchero's. So, you know, the thing that's in the background of this whole Anthony Black conversation for me is what happens with the other guards, because is Anthony Black just kind of the replacement waiting in the wings when Markelle is getting more and more expensive and such? Because I don't want to see that. I love Markelle Fultz too much, but there is
realistically,
a lot of tape.
As a business, that is a fantastic move. Right,
yeah.
You've got a team full of people who have proven they cannot stay healthy. Yeah. So having people that you really think, all right, well, they may be too young, but they're talented, let's throw them in there. Hey, I'll take it, because I'd rather have that than Tim Frazier and other guys that I had never heard of coming off our bench just to fill minutes. Right? We don't want the Kem Birch situations again, or those teams where we were. Well,
don't you besmirch Ken Birch. Oh, that's tough to say.
It is. I'm not going to try to repeat it, but yeah, we put some teams on the court before that were terrible. So it's good that like we feel like we like most of our roster. So if one guy leaves, you know, next man up, let's go and let's see how it goes. So from a business standpoint, it's a great move to have another option as a ball handler, because when we didn't have Fultz, and then when Cole would go down, we didn't have ball handlers. That's why we had Point Franz, which we really don't want again. So it's nice to know we have another guy that can tote the rock. So
we are flush with guards. It's certainly a nice luxury to have. What did you think about this exercise? Where are you seeing the pieces fitting together? What's your depth chart looking like, ladies and gentlemen? Let us know in the comments.
Have we ever agreed more on a segment?
We did. Well, you know, we had a little bit there for the pod, but yeah, we agreed on the last few. It went flush. It went flush as expected. All right. Before we jaunt into our large ending, another shout out here. This might be our last shout out for a while. For our All-Stars and Second Cousins on the Patreon, Magic Player History, Bolby the Don, Paolo and Franz's Warmth, Andy, Dylan Holden, Drum, Rafael Perez, Breadhead, Matthew Bell, Dan Young, Gloria and Damien, Connor Yachty, and Bernie Piche.
Welcome to the NHL season. It's going to be electric.
No. Wow.
That is my shout out. For some reason, the NHL was doing this thing the other day during opening day where they had the mics reffed, and before they dropped the puck, they would say something. And it was super corny and super weird, and that is exactly what they said before the Golden Knights and Seattle Kraken game.
Wow.
The ref said that, and he said it's going to be electric. And then he dropped the puck, and it was like, what? What is this? What's happening? What is this production?
Dang. NHL is trying to turn their refs also into commentators. They're hurting on the budget.
No, this guy had a script, bro. He was not. Someone told him to say that.
Okay. You could tell it was prefab. All right. So, Peesh, it's about that time. The end of the show has drawn near, but it's not quite over. Peesh, can you please hit that button, sir? Get that music started. Yeah. All right. So there was this really hilarious interaction that was caught on one of the Orlando Magic social media where Coach Mosley is just going goo goo gaga orgasmic over Anthony Black's hair. He's like, man, dang, man, that's some good hair. Woof. Woo, that's some good hair. Oof. That is some good. Ooh. That's some good hair. You could tell Coach Mosley has been a while without his, and he was really into this hair. He was giving Anthony Black all types of pointers about ways that he should wear it. So my question, what do you get orgasmic about that's not an orgasm, Peesh?
Oh, you totally went a different way here because I was really, really understanding Coach Mosley. When you're a bald guy, you just think about, here's what I'd do if I had hair. So he was ready. Man, that is a good question. It's probably
brisket, or baked potatoes.
Well, I didn't know that until today, but that's in the conversation. It's top five. I mean, it's at least worthy of, a semi.
I love food.
I think I might go, if I'm going to go away from food, because I feel like that's a hot button, easy one for people.
Yes.
I think for me, it's probably cards.
Yeah.
It's probably like finding a good card. Like if I'm looking through the like dollar box or something, and I find something that I know is like over 10, or it's like something for my PC that I really want, I get juiced by that, bro. Like when you were standing next to me while we did this. Sometimes in Orlando, we're just going through stuff, and it's like, and to bring him back in a positive note, Ken Birch auto, sick, bro. I think I found that one when you weren't with me, and I was so excited to come back and show you. I paid $2 for it. I was just so excited that I found this card. So yeah, I think it's probably that, because that's a dumb thing.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Don't let anyone tell you that. It's not.
Fun fact here. The day I came to town, the Dallas Stars advanced to the Western Conference Finals.
Yes.
Yesterday, my dad came to town, and the Texas Rangers advanced to the ALCS.
Wow.
I don't know how many more family members I have, but do you think if you came down here, you could actually get your Cowboys to make an NFC title game again? Or are you afraid it would just propel the Mavericks to the Western Conference Final? Hashtag P-shaped bump.
Man, the P-shape. I'll have to come down when the Magic are playing there or something so we can make the bump work for us. I don't know. The Cowboys are in a little bit of disarray right now. Van Der Esch just went down. Diggs is already out. We got our quarterback throwing picks again. I don't know. Well, I want to make it down there. We'll see. I wouldn't mind if the Mavericks are in the finals. They're my kind of Western Conference team because slightly biased, one of my favorite YouTubers is a Mavs fan. So
okay, I guess I kind of forgot about that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm with that. All right. So I don't love this one. Your dad is in town, Peesh. You alluded to it earlier. You're gonna do some touristy shit. What is on the docket?
What is on the docket? Well, we've got the Stars home openers tomorrow night against the St. Louis Blues, so that's a big one. We're going to hit the Texas State Fair, which I've been told is one of the biggest, obviously, state fairs there is. I've heard about it before. I've definitely heard it discussed, so we're going to hit that because that's going on.
Hell yeah.
There's a few other things we're kicking around. There's a lot of those places like we used to like to go to where you can go to an arcade, except down here you pay a flat rate and then all the games are free. So we're going to hit some of those. Those are the big ones. We might hit a museum or something downtown. I've kind of hit them up with some things. We'll see. We'll see how it plays, but it's definitely going to be some Instagram content coming up of actually getting into some Dallas stuff.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, it's not a vacation for Uncle Bernie unless he goes to a World War II museum.
So I don't know if it's a vacation when you're not at work.
That's true. That's true.
If you're retired, I think it's just sort of
life. Yeah.
All right, I've got here down violent snoring. I know you've seen it for a while. I see he's starting to stumble this way. This man right here is a violent snorer. I'll try to get some audio. I'm actually worried about it because it'll be just dead silent, and then it sounds like a man choking on his own tongue or being choked in his sleep, and I have to be like, whoa. Like maybe I'm weird. If someone's snoring and they've got a nice, I'm down with it. Like a nice consistent like breathe in snore is cool. Like I know they're in a deep sleep. It's nice. But when it's like changing pitch and tone and disappears for like 10 seconds and then comes back with a roar, like that's
scary.
That's weird. Yeah. But I'm glad that he normally has a CPAP, and I think he just didn't have it going. So that it has been studied. But have you known any of these violent snorers? Do you snore? Is Nadra a snorer? Is this part of your life?
I'm not a snorer, based on what I've been told. Nadra's not really a snorer, but anytime she wakes up and I'm awake next to her, her first question is, "Was I snoring?" It's as if it's like the cardinal sin for me to witness her snoring.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she doesn't have any more problems if ripping some ass, that's where our relationship is now. That's what happens.
Just look, people who snore, we know you're not doing it on purpose. Yeah. It's not against you. We're just pointing out a fact. And sometimes they're all worried about it. But it's like, I know it's not. Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's fine.
Just pointing it out. Yeah.
All right. So, Peesh, your father, he stopped by. He went from Vermont and he drove to Texas, ladies and gentlemen. Uncle Bernie does not take planes. Not a plane man.
Nope.
All right. So he stopped in Connecticut and grabbed a few last belongings and boxes and things for you, Peesh. So was there an item that you had forgotten about? What item maybe were you most excited to see turn up or happiest to turn up in your last set of riffraff that was still hanging out here?
Well, we haven't brought it all up yet.
He doesn't even know.
I did notice when I opened it up that like all of my stuff for decorating my apartment was in one of them, and that's why I had such a hard time decorating for a long time. I actually had to buy a new Vermont flag, because that's always one of the first things I put up. So I know all that stuff's in there, but I'm actually going to cheat a little bit and use my last thing that I have on here, which I was so excited to see the return of my toaster. I waited to buy. I was like, I'm not going to buy another toaster. I have a toaster. And that's kind of when I remembered when I moved here that like, oh shoot, I left stuff in Kyle's basement. So for me, it's the toaster.
Okay.
For some reason, when you cook bread twice, because it was cooked once to become bread, it is better. And I don't know if you feel the same way. I'm just moving right into your question.
Yeah.
Where do you land on toast and toasting bread and sandwiches? Fan or not?
Oh yeah. I'm toasting all types of bread. I'm toasting hot dog buns. I'm toasting burger buns. I'm getting toast in the morning with my eggs on top of the toast. Mm-hmm. I'll even do an avocado toast if I'm feeling like a hipster that day and I want to wear skinny jeans, So I'm toasting everything. I'm getting toasted, you know what I mean, for my 420 lovers out there from time to time. Although I've been cutting back, you'd be proud of me.
I've been putting my eggs on bread like a simp. Now I can toast it. So we're back.
All right. Well, this show is toasted. We're all done here. Episode 54 is in the books. Gonna be 5-5 next time with more preseason basketball under our belts. Peace. It was good to see you. Tell Uncle Bernie I love him because I know he can't hear me right now. And I will see you soon, sir. Peace out, second cousins.
Will do. Love you. Thanks for coming, everybody.